What's happening, Hardscapers? This is episode 122 of the How to Hardscape podcast, where we talk to you about how you can start and grow your hardscaping business. And today's episode is brought to you by Alliance Gator. Thank you for sponsoring today's episode. Their innovation has brought products like Gator Base, G2 Polymeric Sand, Extreme Edge, Nitro Joint Sand, and a diverse range of geotextiles to the hardscape market. Check them out at alliancegator.com. On today's episode, we mash up previous I Am a Hardscaper interviews talking about equipment, a topic that everyone loves. And now some of these answers discuss installation practices or equipment purchases in the future, depending on how I phrase the initial question to the interviewee. But ultimately, this is an equipment discussion episode about what these hardscapers love to have in their business. Without further ado, let's get into it. This is Richard of RC Outdoor.
Yes, so that would be the zip level. The zip level, I use it for everything. Like, I haven't pulled out my laser level one time this year. I use that so when I'm excavating, I'm using that to set down and make sure I'm digging at the right heights. When I'm laying my base, 3/4 inch clean stone, I'm using my zip level. I'm using my zip level to set my screed bars. Using it for everything elevation wise on site. That has literally been my go-to. Anything else? I mean, obviously I don't own much equipment. I do own a mini skid steer, a little ditch witch, and that thing has definitely saved my back on a number of times on projects. So as long as you have some sort of machine you can rent and to bring in stone, to move dirt, I mean, that's definitely, you have to have it. You can't just dig out a patio. I'm trying to think of any other specific tools that I would highly recommend. I have some of the pave tool products or their tools. None of them are coming to my head. But the thing is, there are so many tools in the industry, you can never stop buying. I mean, I like to buy tools that increase our quality. I really want our quality to show in our cuts and our curves. So any products that I can get to improve that, and obviously our efficiency as well, then that's going to be something that I want to buy.
This is Sean of Premier Outdoor Living.
Yeah, I would say probably the zip level. We just got that this year, and it's just awesome, replacing a laser or a transit. And we use it for all kinds of stuff. We use it on the deck side. We use it on the patios. And it's just so simple. It's awesome that you can go around corners, all that kind of stuff. It sets up in like 2 seconds. So I looked at it for probably like a year or two. And, I think it's $900. So it kind of scared me away a little bit. But as soon as I got it, I was like, this thing is amazing. And we use it all the time. I absolutely love that thing.
This is Caleb of Almond Landscape.
Yeah, we're huge on mechanization right now, so we're trying to reduce labor any way we possibly can. So we're buying whatever tool we can afford, which you should always buy the best tools you can afford at the time. So we bought a mini excavator. That thing was incredible. Took our company to new levels, saved so much labor on different things, and allowed us to take on a lot of different type of work we normally wouldn't have. The tool we just bought, and I say tool, we bought a Canicom powered tracked wheelbarrow, if you will, or a mud buggy, whatever you want to call them, concrete buggy, but it's on tracks. And the dump bed swivels and articulates. We'll dump both sides of the machine forward. And a couple of my buddies, Andy Mulder and Jeremy Swihart, both have them and swear by them. And after having this one, we bought a used one, which I think we'll buy a new one next year because I can see this thing being real handy. And as soon as we start having downtime with it, because it's pretty rough, the one we bought, I can see buying a new one to avoid any downtime with it. That thing is awesome, but, on the human resources end of it, you mentioned LMN earlier. We use LMN for a lot of things, but we do time tracking with that with the guys. So the guys clock into projects and we can track man hours on jobs, which is huge because now we can get on a computer and look up where the man hours are at on a job and know how many man hours, if we do an autopsy on a project, we can look back and say, okay, cool, we had 89 man hours on that job. And you just look back real quick instead of like what we used to do, if we would do it at all. We'd go get their paperwork reports out because guys had to fill out paperwork reports every day, at least the foreman or project leader did. And then we'd have to tally up the hours. Well, this way it's digital format. So that kind of mechanization is awesome. And we bought into LMN like 6 months or, God, I don't know, almost a year now. And then we became Element, just for clarity's sake here, full disclosure. We're now LMN. They call it VIPs or some cheesy name, but we're, ambassadors for LMN. So, take that with a grain of salt, but it is a great program. It is a phenomenal program. We paid for it for like 8 months before we came on board as an affiliate with them, just so that's all out in the open. In the hardscape end of things, Pave Tool makes a ton of great tools. We love those guys, and we got a lot of their stuff. I mean, I just can't be an advocate enough for, like, if you're starting a hardscape business or whatever, if you're going to buy a pickup truck for yourself, maybe don't buy a $40,000 truck, buy a $20,000 truck and buy $20,000 worth of hardscaping tools instead. You know what I mean? Like, do whatever you can to make yourself more efficient, because the profit is in efficiency. Sometimes it's hard to pony up the money to spend. Guys, kind of like, I used to be, we bought one of the biggest things, was such a game changer for us way back in the day. We bought a clamp for picking up like stair treads, like big monolithic stair steps. We used to set those in by hand with straps and pipes and roll them into place and all this ignorant nonsense. And then we bought a clamp, and I thought, how in the world did we used to set these things without a clamp? And then we got a pneumatic lifter, and we set them in place with a pneumatic lifter now. It's just, you've got to save your people's backs. And regardless, you just get more efficient. So, you still continue to charge the same, but you're getting projects in the ground faster. So any labor-saving tool you can buy, I am all for it. Everything we can to get more efficient at the end of the day.
This is Jeremy of J Squared Outdoor.
Yeah, we just bought one of those vacuum lifters. I think we're going to be using for like the Unilock Beacon Hill, stuff like that to install. I'm excited with that. I think we can try and use that on an excavator and do a lot of mechanical installations that way. We tried it out on some step treads, and it seems to work, and flagstone. So we're going to try to go towards anything that we can use that on. Also, I'm curious about the Unilift and how that works. I think we're going to be demoing one of those here in the next week or so. So I'd be interested to see how that works, and that's a possibility for something to purchase. But I think anything that kind of eases the installation, eases the strain on employees is a plus, and definitely where our minds are going, efficiency and ease of use.
This is Andy Mulder of Mulder Maintenance and Services.
Oh man, I mean, if you want to bring up the word tools, we could talk for another 2 hours. No, I mean, I've invested a lot of money in tools and equipment. I mean, I don't know if you want to talk about equipment too, but that was something where I used to work, it wasn't relied upon as heavily as far as getting the right tools for the job. And when I started the company, I really wanted to invest in stuff that made the job easier and made it more efficient. And I built the company on adding equipment instead of people. And so by doing that, we've done things. I mean, I've spent a lot of money with Pave Tool a lot. I really like their tools, and I like them as a company. They're good people. And so, I have a Canicom buggy. I talk about a lot on Instagram, and, that thing, I found out about that thing from Jeremy from J Squared Outdoors. And that thing has been one of the best tools I've added to our lineup of equipment. We just move material super fast. I mean, it's a game changer. Another thing I really like is we have an Encon tilt rotator on our excavator. And that has been just an unbelievable tool to have on the hardscape job site. You're able to dig ways you didn't think you could dig, or put material where you need to put it, or grade it out without having to do it by hand. So that's been really amazing. Another thing I did, this is, I don't know, maybe 2 years ago, I invested in a new 20-foot tool, enclosed trailer, and I outfitted it with all the tools and equipment that we need for doing any kind of job, really, from sprinklers to hardscaping. I mean, we can do anything out of that trailer. And that thing has been the just an amazing tool to increase efficiency and decrease shop time and loading and unloading time. I was just so sick of forgetting something or not having the right tool when we needed it. And so now, I mean, our shop time in the morning is 5 minutes and 5 minutes at the end of the day. I mean, unless we're unloading something that we didn't need or something. But it's so important to invest in tools that can increase your craft time, but reduce, your shop time or your unbillable time, because it's just, we don't get paid to move material around the job site. We don't get paid to, load up in the morning. You should be figuring on that stuff, but the more you can increase your craft time, the more money you're going to be able to make, and the more work you can do in a year, and the amount of work you can do with less people is that's why you invest in the equipment. I mean, I went down, I got rid of one guy this year, or had one less guy this entire year, and we did $300,000 more in work. And I attribute that to the tools that we've been adding.
This is Garrett of Premier Landscape.
I wouldn't be able to put my finger on any one particular item. I am a huge fan of lasers. I know a lot of guys mention zip levels. We have those as well. Those are great for quick, easy grade changes. But we train most of our guys on lasers so they can do their slope and carry proper slope, right from subgrade to base to screed rails and everything in between. So, we do run lasers on every crew, and I think that's crucial to 80% of the work that we're doing from a small tool perspective. And I mean, from a big tool perspective, anybody that's met me, I usually give them a phrase, something along the lines of, we'll buy it and figure out how to pay for it. I've got a lot of equipment. I've got a lot of tools. I've invested a lot in the convenience factor and the efficiency, anything from an Encon tilt rotator to Unilift, from Unilock, other vacuum systems, other specialty tools. So, I guess my takeaway point should be, don't be afraid to spend that money on that tool or that piece of equipment, and build it in your budget. I'm not saying do it recklessly. Obviously, we all have a business to run, and you can only afford so much. But if you're doing it smart and thinking about it, if it's going to make the efficiency, if it's going to help retain employees, some guys get too stuck on that big number. Just sign on the dotted line. Banks are almost giving away money for 0% now. If you can't make that back, it's more valuable in my pocket than for that. So just be smart with your money, but don't be afraid to spend it to grow if you want.
This is Chad of Natural Design Landscapes.
So we don't have I know aggregates have different names everywhere you go. We don't have an HPB and stuff. We have a clear chip, which is a 1/4 inch clear stones that we use for all our bedding layers on top of 5/8 minus. And as far as walls go, they're directly on 3/4 clear. So no 3/8 or 1/4 inch clear on top of that, directly on 3/4 clear. We've done it that way for 6 years now, and we haven't had a failure in a wall. I think we'll attribute some of our success to that. Obviously, geogrid behind the wall, a lot of clear stone behind the walls. As far as tools go, one of my favorites is something called the flex marker. And I know a lot of guys are using a PVC pipe or a tent pole or something. And we like the flex marker just because it's easy to use. We can connect a whole bunch of them, but we can do those long drawn out curves and stuff and mark them out easily. With that, saves a lot of time. I'm a big fan of the 14-inch saw just for most of the work that we do. I'll cut everything myself, usually all the big curves and stuff. The guys don't want to do it. I don't want to put them through it, and honestly, I don't mind. It's a little fun for me I can think about other things while I cut. So a 14-inch saw with a diamond blade and getting to work is important for me. Other than that, I think a big investment for us this year was a vacuum lift. So we bought an M-Quip Turbo H, and we installed probably 5,000 square feet of large slab with it. And that's been a lifesaver, right? Can't think of a better $5,000 that we've spent this season, at least. It made the installation process so much better. And I think everyone, if they can afford it, should get a vacuum lift, or at least look towards investing in one for their future.
This is Tony of Group Zamco.
I feel like this goes without saying, but paver manipulation tools. There are so many amazing tools out there right now. They're not cheap, but they're worth their money. They're worth every penny because you're saving your guys. You know what I mean? Labor is an issue nowadays. That's no secret. Anywhere, it doesn't matter. It's not just in my area or in Ottawa or in, I don't know, even the U.S. There is a problem everywhere with labor, a labor shortage. We have tools. We have pieces of equipment that minimize the need for that labor. Invest in it. At the end of the day, you're going to pay someone a salary, right? If you buy a piece of machine that's going to save you a salary, then do it. It only makes sense because that machine will stay with you. You don't have to negotiate with that piece of equipment to stay with you, right? So at the end of the day, like, Pave Tech and Pave Tool make amazing tools. Now we're talking about small scale, clamps. They have some amazing vacuum machines. I've invested in all those. I think that they're fantastic. We use them every day. With pavers getting larger and larger, these Techblock released these new 900 by 600 slabs, 900 by 900 slabs. That's 36 inches by 36 inches. That is a big slab, heavy. Let's say for whatever reason you install it and then, something happens, someone's walking and for whatever reason it gets stained, that it cannot be removed, or it cracks for whatever reason, or you chip it. Try getting that slab out without proper equipment. You are going to spend so much more money damaging every slab around it to get that one out. Have the proper equipment. You're going to save time. You're going to save money. Now that's in a sense of one breaking, but just installing. Your guys, at the end of the day of installing slabs like that, their backs are finished. The next day, they're not as productive, or they don't come in, or in an even worse case, they end up on workman's comp. Now, you lost an employee. So definitely invest in the proper tools to facilitate your guys' job, facilitate your job, your project, and that money comes back. It's an investment. You're not spending money, you're investing it at that point.
This is Mike of Creekside Outdoor Living.
Yeah, man, pretty passionate about the installation and the methods that we employ. Being in the Midwest, I know you are too, sort of. I mean, you're roughly in the same zone as us, and we have a lot of freeze thaw, right? We've got a lot of potholes in the road. When you go to Arizona, when you go to California, you don't see a whole lot of potholes. And that's because of the radical temperature changes that we have, to where we're going to have a frost heave. So everything that you do to your foundation soil is just so critical. You want to make sure that you're compacting with the heaviest compactor you can possibly purchase, and that's what we've done. That, using geotextiles, using an open graded stone. I still see guys out there using grade 8. I'm not sure what you call it up by you, but it's that conglomeration of limestone and concrete that turns the jelly when it gets wet. We've completely switched over to the permeable application, not just because it's permeable, but also because it is much more rigid, much more has a lot more integrity to it. So there's that, and then there's, of course, I can't tell you how many patios we have pulled apart for people that had patios done prior to us being there, to where they had a raised patio or a stoop and a landing, and it was the foundation of this guy was up against the house. You had the load-bearing materials up against a non-load-bearing house. Now, it's one thing if you have concrete at the very bottom of the house, but when you start to have, wood siding or anything else that's a wood structure, and you've got all this stone and brick weighing against the house, man, we pulled these things out before, and people had their house. I could stick my whole hand through their house, and they had no clue. So we had to pull out the patio and then have another contractor come in and do all this kind of remediation before we continued. So, I mean, it was a hang up on our job site, but man, I felt bad for that client. You know what I mean? So, those are the type of things that we believe pretty strongly in. And I think that a lot of our industry, honestly, thanks to our materials vendors for upping the education, thanks to them, I think that our industry really has caught on. There was a period of time where not so much.
And I every once in a while I'll come across a project where there's just terribly poor installation methods. But by and large, I think that the industry has improved with all that stuff.
This is Jordan and Kyle of Evolve Design Build.
Well, it's hard to talk about just one thing. We're very big on equipment that helps not only increase our efficiency, but helps make it easier on our guys and avoid wearing them out. We believe a lot in the open graded base system, and we use GeoGrid obviously and GeoFabric on all of our installations. We just believe it's cheap insurance. And we have seen, since we started using open graded base about a year or two ago, we've seen that it helps not only, I think, gives our clients a better product, but it also helps avoid, missing time because of rain. So that's been huge for us, is switching to open graded base. But I think even more than that, our equipment that we buy is really the only thing I think that's more more important is our employees and keeping them happy, and that's a big part of that. So we have a lot of equipment. We just invested in a new mini skid steer, the Ditch Witch 1550, which is really a great machine. We had the Bobcat MT85, which is a great little mini skid steer, but we just found it didn't lift enough for us, and so we tried the Ditch Witch 1550, and it's able to pick up most pallets of our pavers, our wall block and whatnot without any issues. And it's great because a lot of our guys are a little hesitant to get in the full size skid steer. It's a bit of a learning curve, but the mini skid steers that you can ride behind, we just find that it's a lot easier for our guys to learn to operate those. And we think that the more time our guys spend on equipment and the less time they spend moving stuff by hand, the more efficiency we can get, and the better we can save them from overworking themselves or injuring themselves, because we want our guys to be around for the long haul.
We have a running joke, we're allergic to shovels. We don't even know. We don't know where people will come in and, be like, we're on another job site or we'll see another contract. And like, you guys got a shovel? And we're like, what's a shovel? We don't, nobody wants to dig with a shovel. Don't get me wrong. There's times you got to, but I mean, Kyle, we've got a ton of pave tool stuff. We've got minis, we got buggies. We pretty much have a piece of equipment for every employee.
Yep, at least.
And I think we're seeing a big trend with that. I mean, with people having less employees and more equipment. You would agree with that?
Absolutely.
And then, you got a lot of the pave tool stuff. I mean, you use a lot of that for your measuring. Anything in particular?
Yeah, Jordan's a big pave tool guy. He can't go to any of the expos or any of the different events that we go to without buying, at least one or two new tools from them. But we definitely find their stuff to be very helpful, and it's great to have somebody that like Pave Tool understands the importance of having the right tool for the right job. So we use something I find myself using a lot is just something as simple as their compass and their sidewalk measuring tool. The tool that can extend, and you can use it to measure a radius, or to if you're a curved sidewalk, you can basically cut your first side and then use the tool to measure out the other side and keep an even curve, which is very helpful. So definitely everything in Pave Tool we found to be very helpful.
This is Dylan of DNR Hardscapes.
So I still have my other business. So it's tough for some of my guys to see this, but I've got two businesses that I still run, that one of them kind of runs itself, but financially backing me. So when any money that I make with my DNR Hardscapes, with my hardscape business, I put all my own money back into the business. I'm trying to grow this thing as fast as possible. I'm trying to grow it as big as possible. In reality, I'm giving my guys the best of the stuff. Like I said, all my stuff is blacked out. I've got tint on all my vehicles. I've got the nicest trucks. I've got the nicest, IQ saws. I don't know how we've ever lived with them beforehand. Pave Tool. I've got everything that they offer. M-Quip with the vacuum pumps. I mean, I've got I don't really live off one brand of equipment though either. Like I've got Bobcats, I've got New Hollands, I've got Caterpillars, I've got Husqvarnas, I've got Steels. I'm a big advocate of Hilti. Love Hilti to death. I don't think anything matches Hilti. So sorry for everybody else that doesn't use Hilti. But I mean, I just try to stay ahead of the game. I try to do a lot of research. My foreman, Brian, he's probably my gift from God. He runs all my actual projects. He's the man that's on the ground at all point in time. But having him on my team, he's allowed me to do the research. He does a lot of research on his own too, but like new equipment, like the block clamps. We use a lot of those when we're doing retaining walls. The screed systems. I mean, anything that I can give to my guys to make their life easier. Like, I mean, right now, man, here in Tennessee, it's 99 degrees with like 100% humidity. I can go out to consultation and be dripping sweat within 5 minutes. So I know that my guys, you know, they're out there laying pavers all day long. They're out there building walls. They're out there shoveling gravel. They are hating life. I know it. So I try to take care of my guys the best as possible. I try to give them the best of equipment. I try to give them everything that they could ever desire to make their job easier. I've actually thought about in the past, like in the next year or something, I want to transition into just making useful things that people haven't thought about hardscaping, just to give my guys the leg up. So we use a lot of different equipment. There's not a lot of I will say this though. Hold on, I'll back up. Inlight. I am a huge fan of Inlight. We try to use Inlight on every project that we do. Those guys are awesome over there. I don't use any other brands of lights besides them, just because I'm a huge advocate of what they're doing. Everything I've ever installed from them have been incredible. I do use a lot of different pavers. I use Techoblock. I use Belgard. I use Unilock, but I'm never partial to one of them. There's me personally, I like one way more than the other. But as a customer, some people like more the rustic feel versus the modern feel. As far as quality, I think they're all great. It's just, I mean, it also depends on your region. I mean, I live in Clarksville, Tennessee. I've got a Belgard plant in our same town. So Belgard products are like, I can snap my fingers and I can be there to pick up any product that I want. There's no shipping involved. There's nothing like that. So availability is a big one for us. But it's also quality over availability. Sometimes when it comes to shipping, sometimes I have to wait 4 weeks on some pavers to get in, which especially with this COVID pandemic that's going on, I think everybody is in that boat right now. But as far as products, materials, anything like that, I mean, I just try to get the best of the best. I try to stay ahead of it. I try to do my research. And I mean, that's just kind of where we stand as a company.
This is John of Signature Landscape.
So we've tried the reversible plate compactors. I felt like they were always breaking on me. We still carry a 1560 Whacker compactor, but with open grade base, compaction is less about, you know, that whatever the dynamic or centrifugal force and waiting for it to, you know, get hard enough, whether you're using like one of those Weber, I think they're called those Weber compactors with the density on it. When you're using open aggregate, if you've used it before, it's more about displacing it, making sure that it has nowhere to go. And what we found with the rolling compactor is that on the patio sizes that we commonly do, it's much more efficient. And because it's, 39, 40 inches wide, if you've ever worked with a base after you compacted to it, usually there's ridges from the outside edge of your compactor, and they can mess you up a little bit when you're running street rails or street pipes, whatever you may call them. With the roller, what we found is it almost displaces our whole patio level. So once we put that stone in there and we roll it back and forth with our, I believe it's called a Whacker RD11 or RD12, it's a 1.5 ton roller, I believe. We've found that it's just, you know, smooth as glass, and it makes it so easy for us to run our street rails and just ensure that we have the proper compaction and displacement.
This is Evan of Pride Hardscape.
No more equipment purchase. Everybody out there, I'm done buying equipment this year. My wife told me done. Everybody told me done. But Pave Tool, if you guys, I know everybody talks about them, look up their website. The wall building chain system they have, that has been a game changer for us. We have 2 sets of them. we can set flat base for walls with that. We can now go 40 feet a day where we were doing, 15 to 25 feet a day stacked out. We're getting 40 feet of wall done now. So it's been a game changer. Pave tool, anything you can afford with them. Their clamps, moving the treads. We do a lot of big boulder treads. Their clamps are a great product. And, and then the zip level was a new purchase for me. For anybody that's doing estimates, I would not suggest the zip level in the construction field with my guys because they break everything and they get everything really dirty and they get mud everything on it. But for estimates, it's the best thing that's happened to me. Zip level for sure. My estimates have been on point since that tool. And then Sani equipment, guys. I'll tell you, you guys are all haters. Laugh at me, do you want, but Sani excavators. For the bang for the buck, a 5-year, 5,000-hour warranty. We got a mini 4K excavator that fits between a 36-inch gate for $21,000 with 3 buckets. I know their prices are different around the country, but they're a great team to work with. I had my second Sani, and then also Ditch Witch. Since we bought this equipment, I feel like we have hit a new scale of our projects and how quick we can get them done. Our one project that used to take 4 weeks now is taking 2 weeks, sometimes 10 days with our equipment now. So if you can afford it, do it. But if not, I totally understand it. But we were spending 15 to 20 grand in renting an excavator the past 2 years before this last year. Yeah. So you're paying that rental company and the customer's paying for it. I understand we're not renting it. The customer's paying for that 15 to 20 grand, in the rentals, but you could be paying a payment. All these companies are offering 0%. They're giving you an excavator for $229 a month sometime if you have some money down. So, but it's all, again, what you can afford and what your business can afford at the time. That's for sure. And Caleb at Almond Landscape says it's what your business can afford at the time. And luckily, I've had a really good, fortunate year, and we're booking into next year right now. So I feel very privileged to even be employed right now with everything that's going on. And I hope it keeps going for us hardscapers because we deserve it. This industry is getting to another point where I believe, I'll get into this point if we want me to, but I believe this industry is becoming a trade now. All those young guys coming out of high school, you don't know what you want to do. You guys can make a living doing this. I mean, this is, my guys are making a living. It's doable. And the industry, we're getting older. We need some younger guys. It's time to find good workers nowadays, and we'll pay for it. If you guys are good, you guys are going to learn great skills, learn how to build beautiful things, and you're going to be outside. And right now being outside, I feel like is a privilege because of what's the corona and everything that's going on.
This is Josh of Sutton Outdoor.
Sure. Installation wise, we love using drive grid, the triaxial drive grid under every project. We put it under every patio, and we use the geogrid in the walls, but the drive grid we have a lot of clay soils here. So it's just really helped reinforce that sub base. And it's just amazing when you try to drive across the, freshly excavated base, with a mini skid steer, and you'll sink those tracks in deep. And then once you lay that layer of drive grid with, maybe 2 or 3 inches of open graded stone, you don't sink at all. And it's just amazing to see that. And then that sells work because I go into detail on the install of that with clients. We spend a little bit extra. It's like $350 for 1,100 square feet roll or something. Like, it's not that much. And we put it, we can usually do 2 or 3 patios with 1 roll of drive grid. And it's just cheap insurance to ensure that our patio is going to, not settle. It's not going to move hardly at all, like if at all. But it's just an amazing product that, it doesn't seem like it would do that much, but it really does. And then we always install perma edge now. That's our go-to for the paver edging. We love that. The guys there are great. And they always have good feedback anytime we have a question or anything. We have a roller compactor from Weber. We love that thing. That's in a huge piece of equipment that, it looks like it's it's kind of, it's like $4,000 for this roller that you can only use on the surface of a patio, but it saves so much time from, you're not cracking pavers. Like we used to use a polyurethane pad on our other compactor and trying to mount that thing on there, and then you get into a corner and trying to turn that thing, and it just gets to be a nightmare, where this roller compactor just really speeds up every install we do. You're probably saving an hour or two at the end of the project, and you're not cracking pavers. It gets the joint stand fully into the whole paver. You're not dropping it in a half inch or whatever. So we use poly sweep sand, which has been great. It, like their advertisement says, it's just damn good sand. You don't have to wonder if it's going to set up or not. You don't have to be accused of user error sweeping sand into the joints, and it's just another great product that we use religiously as well. We've done a few gator base projects, which I've been really impressed with. The synthetic gator base, it's worked well in areas where we can't get a skid steer, a mini excavator, and a dig, and you have to do a little bit thinner base. It makes it amazing install and really speeds us up as well. So that's always in our arsenal to use. We have our mini skid steers. I purchased a Kubota SBL 65 skid steers because we got tired of double and triple handling pavers and straining our backs that much more. So that was a pricey purchase, but it pays for itself. And if we've purchased as much pave tool equipment as we can get, the screeders, and we have an airlifter, a backpack airlifter, which works pretty good. You still kind of have to stack the pavers up and move them over there, but it definitely saves on bending your back. All those little things, add up over time, especially as you get older and your body gets older and things start to hurt a little more every morning. So it's all that kind of stuff is just anything I can do, or equipment that I can afford to buy, I'm going to buy it for sure. I'm not going to think twice about it. It's always nice to try new things. I'm sad they're not having the GIE and H&A this year, because that's always the time we go and see all the new stuff and talk with other guys and try to invest in some more equipment. But that's just anything you can do to increase efficiency and reduce the wear and tear on your body is a good thing. So
this is Greg and Errol of Valley Outdoor Design.
Yeah, absolutely. I guess in terms of near future, it's probably our next large purchase is going to be either another large truck and a mini excavator. We've actually ended up renting an excavator out a lot this year, so that's probably going to be the next thing. As simple as it sounds, honestly, a full-size skid steer for us, it's not new. We bought a Cat 262, used, but the thing has been a beast. And doing enough hardscaping, I'm friends with Rich, RC Outdoors, and he does an incredible job with the mini skid. Whereas we're a much more diverse company, we do a lot of services. The full-size skid for us was the way to go. But I couldn't imagine not having a full-size skid for the jobs we've done. Just kind of going forward, it's made our lives so much easier. Just having something as kind of simple as a full-size machine there to move pallets around and such.
And I'll go in the other direction, very small. Okay, we've got a grout gun that is just phenomenal. I mean, for veneer work, you can lay down a bead of grout between irregular. So the large job that we did was square and wreck granite, and I mean, so we were just if you're doing it tuck and point method
with a grout bag, your hands are gonna hurt. Your hands are gonna hurt a lot.
It's gonna take a long time. This thing speeds it up.
Yeah,
I mean, it's orders of magnitude faster.
I believe I put a video out on our Instagram about it. earlier this year, and that I believe, what is it? That's the quick gun.
Quick point.
Oh yeah, the quick point mortar gun. Obviously that's more of like a masonry related item, but it has been.
This is hardscape.
Yeah,
for
sure.
For $350, somewhere in that range.
Yeah.
This saved our lives. We had so much veneer to get it, grout into, and the speed that we could do it in. With two guys doing that, one guy following behind the other guy with the gun, I mean, it's almost hard to keep up with them.
Yeah.
It
probably turned 3 weeks worth of grouting and veneer detail work down into like a week. Honestly.
It's a game changer.
It really is.
It really is.
Beyond that, anything from Pave Tool, honestly. We see Phil Baylor at all these events. He's an awesome, awesome guy. He's a great guy to just chat with too. But I mean, good God, the stuff that I'm a huge believer in anything that he makes. We've got like their quickie, their stand-up screed system, their paver carriers, their scribes, all of that stuff that he makes.
System.
The vacuum, we have their airlift vacuum system. All of that
we
stuff.
Couldn't be without that.
Everything that they make has made such a big difference. Because again, for us being two guys, and we probably get the work done of 4 or 5. It just makes our lives so much easier. I mean, it's exactly what his slogan is. Taking the heart out of hardscaping.
We really have, no kidding, it's true. But for two guys to do as much work as we do, we have to rely on technology,
right?
To speed the jobs along as much as possible, and just increase the productivity as much as we can.
Yeah, absolutely.
So the tools are hugely important.
Yeah, and honestly, actually, if I can kind of move back, honestly, to actually the installation, real quick, but I just thought about this, but I see so many hardscapers, where they just touch pavers and such, and they won't necessarily get into natural stone. And even though if you're working with flagstone, it can be a pain in the butt for sure, because you're trying to fit it together like a puzzle. But there's also some really that we've used, if you're talking like, bluestone or something, just thermal bluestone, where it's basically like a paver, except it's much bigger. And it's honestly even bigger than, some of these XL slabs that Unilock or Teco Belgard they make. So if you're using natural stone, you have a lot more options for these much larger slab systems where you're going to throw them in the ground that much faster. And at the end of the day, they probably look a lot better because, frankly, nothing touches natural stone. I see a lot of guys, we're really, really fortunate here in the Northeast. We've got, it's so, like 3 or 4 pillars of materials we use up here. It's all clay brick, bluestone, granite, and pavers really, but and natural or not pavers.
Granite and fieldstone.
Yeah, fieldstone, exactly. It's so cool to use. I don't see a lot of people other than like maybe California and Florida using it nearly as much as I really think they should, because you can command such a much better price for it. And it just, as nice as some of these pavers are these days, I love the paver systems. At the end of the day, this stuff lasts that much longer and it looks that much better. And if you use a much larger, slab format like a paver that, this just comes bigger, you're going to put down so much more, and it just looks fantastic. I think that's pretty much it. In terms,
make sure it's priced correctly. That's all.
For sure.
As with everything, right? But, especially with that, because it comes along with such an increased level of effort, labor-wise, that that's really, we find that a lot of times there are, some very expensive natural stone products, but then others that are really very cost competitive on the product itself. But by the time you get through with the labor, the cost is driven pretty high.
Yeah.
But the end result is you got to have the right customer for it, right? They have to appreciate, the labor that's involved, the process. You need to educate the customers accordingly, up front to make them understand what they're going to get in the long run, and like Greg said,
well, that's
how long it's going to last.
Well, honestly, and if we're being honest here, I tend, like I said, I love pavers as well. We install a lot of paver systems, but if anything, if the customer has the budget for natural stone, that's the way I'm pushing them, because again, pavers just don't hold up to natural stone. It just looks amazing, and this is whether it's a patio or if it's a wall. If we can do stone veneer versus a wall system where the wall may go up that much faster and you can get to another job, but if I can charge $55, $60, $65 a square foot for a stone veneer, I'm probably going to end up making out that much better anyways. So don't necessarily have to kind of keep diving back into that, but definitely I don't see enough people push natural stone, and I feel like get more guys should become acquaint yourself more with it, because it's just such a phenomenal product, and at the end of the day, it just looks incredible.
I want to take a break from today's episode to thank our sponsor, Alliance Gator. They are the makers behind Gator Extreme Edge, a concrete edge restraint product for hardscape installations. In our business, we have almost exclusively moved to a concrete edge restraint in our installs. Now, the only time we use a plastic edge restraint is in a Gator base installation where we fasten it directly to the Gator base. But Gator Extreme Edge is fiber reinforced and polymer modified, providing continuous lateral support. This provides more flexibility and better strength than just a regular concrete mixture for an edge restraint. We find it great to use in our open graded base installs or natural stone installs where the product is only 1 inch thick. It can also be installed in traditional overlay and concrete base applications. You can find out more about this product at alliancegator.com, found in the show notes of this episode, or connect with your local rep for installation assistance. Now back to our episode. This is Adam of Lily Hardscaping.
So I got the Ditch Witch, I got the Cat 304, I've got my saw, my IQ saw, got the M-Quip. I'm in pretty good shape. The only problem is I run old trucks. Last year, I lost my first company truck, which was an 85 Ford 6.9 IDI diesel, and that was a workhorse. I missed that truck. The engine blew on it, and now I'm running OBS Ford 7.3 Power Strokes, a 95 and a 96. They're old, but they work. I am definitely thinking it's going to be time for a truck at some point. It's, I kind of bought the carriage before the horse with the trailers and the mini excavator and all that kind of stuff. So far, I've been lucky. I can work on the trucks myself. That's a big plus. Getting into a newer truck, it gets scary because it's not as easy to work on yourself, and they're not cheap. They're a big ticket item.
This is Nick of Earthworks Landscaping.
Well, one thing that I'm really looking forward to demoing, I think, as soon as this driveway gets done being installed, is a Weber roller compactor. Super excited to demo that. We do quite a bit of larger format, I guess. I'd say we do enough large format pavers where I think it might make sense for me to own a roller compactor. And one of the sales reps in my area that I deal with quite a bit, my county material sales rep said, once you get this thing, you're going to love it. So I'm really looking forward to that. But other tools, like vacuum air lifters and, anything that makes us more efficient, the screed pullers from Probst and Pave Tool, anything that Pave Tool has. I'm kind of I like to have the newer, what's new, what's going to make me faster, what's going to make me more efficient. So there's been some tools that I bought and maybe, tried out and didn't pan out, but there's been some other things that have really helped us quite a bit efficiency wise. I'm just about probably going to buy another air lifter here. I have one that I bought this spring, but with this big driveway job, I've realized that it would be nice to have a couple of them. And obviously the machinery, the trucks. I'm gonna get a couple new 1-ton dump trucks and get them set up the way that I like them, with the dump bodies and things this fall. I think some of our equipment, it's getting to the point where it's a little bit older, and starting to become a little bit more of a maintenance thing. So I'm gonna sell a couple dump trucks and get a couple new 1-ton dump trucks. I'm probably gonna get a new skid loader this year. One of my Bobcat T180 is getting to the point where it's still a really good skid, but we need something a little bit bigger. So I'm going to get a larger, I think, size skid loader. I've been demoing. I've demoed 2 or 3 different types of skid loaders in the last month or so, just trying to figure out which one I want. But there's always toys and fun things, that are out there. I think the one thing about all these toys is that they're going to show up to work on time. They're not going to be hung over and things like that. So anything that I can buy or invest in that's going to do the job faster, better, with less headaches and things like that. One other thing I think I want to really consider, or I've rented the walk behind mini skid steers. I think that might be something that could be on the horizon. But the mini excavator, the skid loaders, the dump trucks, those are all things that really help in a landscaping business, obviously.
This is Danny of Niche Gardens.
Well, the big wish list right now is probably a 550 4-door dump. That's my biggest wish right now. We started out with the basic, I'd always told somebody, if I'm going to build a company, the first machine I get is a ditch witch. A mini skid. Somebody asked me the other day, they said, do you really like your SK800? And I said, it built this company. So in saying that, now everybody fights over the one, we run 2 crews right now, and it's a constant, like, I want the mini skid today. I want the mini skid today. So it's constantly back and forth. So I say a dump truck. I don't know if I'm going to get that first or if I'm going to have to get another mini skid.
This is Dan of Wasson Nursery.
Okay. Yeah, man, we could do another show just on this. I'll tell you, on the tool side of it, we have 3 of them now. No, actually we have 4. The Vermeer mini skids, the CTX 100, and we just got a CTX 160. Those machines are awesome. I have crews that fight over them. It runs an auger, it runs a Harley bucket forks. You, as a company, you need to look at those machines. Anyone out there needs to look at those machines. I have guys that fight over them because we don't have enough for every crew. That would be one piece. I would say, look at that machine exactly, or something like it. Those mini skid steers are getting, the technology's better. They can lift a lot. They're very, very versatile. So that's one I would say. I think like Richard Carroll. I think he has a ditch witch one, which is a good one too. But that's a great way to get a skid steer, in a backyard. If you got a tight space. So one, mini skid steers, we use the heck out of them every day. They go out every day. I would say another tool that I have bought more of and that I need to buy some more of is Pave Tech. I think it's called I might have to Google it and send you a link on it. I think it's called the Mighty Mite. I don't know if that's correct, but vacuum lifting technology. Those, we do a lot of slabs. We do a lot of Blue Grande slabs, which that's what I would say on the product side is large format pavers they look great. They are in. What a great way to do a patio is on just a simple large format patio. But they're like 120 pounds, 130 pounds, some of them. And I buy this equipment because there isn't a lot of hardscape guys out looking for jobs, right? So the guys that I have, I want to take care of them and get them. I'll buy them any equipment they need if it makes their job easier and they can work longer. Like Oscar, one of my best foremen here. He's there's not a bunch of Oscars walking around looking for a job, so I gotta take care of these guys. And buying equipment is one way I can do that. If I can make their job easier, I'm going to do that. And that's some of the biggest things is we're buying tools, to make the job easier. We've got an IQ saw. I'm still trying to get them to use that more often. We use a lot of GeoGrid. We haven't got much into the synthetic base. I know Richard Carroll likes that. I really need to explore that option a little bit more.
This is Matt Heiner of Heiner Outdoor Living.
Oh man, our mini skids are a godsend. They just fit through everything and go everywhere. But man, that would definitely be a question I would punt to my guys a little bit more. I think it's, I try and set them on, I look towards some of the other people that you've had on your show, like Richard Carroll and Andy. Those guys are the true wizards when it comes to this stuff. And so I try and learn from what they have and show my guys what's out there, but then just put a budget, and I'm trying to build an atmosphere for our company that allows them to have the tools that they need and necessary to put on their best work and to save their backs and that kind of stuff. So, I would say I'm probably not the best person to answer that question, unfortunately.
This is Jordan of DPR Landscapes.
So I think at this point for a residential landscape company, we have almost everything that we need. So this past year, we also just invested a lot. And the year before that, we invested a lot in quite a few machines. So what I live and die by, and I think that's important for any residential landscape business, is some type of compact skid steer, whether that be an MT85, whether that be an S70, whether that be a Ditch Witch or Vermeer, anything like that, something along those lines, and a compact excavator. So for 2 years, we ran the company without an excavator. This year, we purchased our excavator. We rented on a few jobs, but this year we purchased one, and it makes a world of a difference. Essentially, your small skid steer becomes a material mover instead of a digging machine, which it ultimately is meant to be a material deliverer. It's not meant to be digging, large scale patios. So I think an excavator, a MT85, and a dump trailer are essentials. Luxuries would be having stuff like tool trailer, like having a flatbed trailer that you can float multiple machines at once. And then, probably our last purchase we kind of really need to make for now until we start branching off into several crews would be a full-size skid steer. Full-size skid steer in order to move full pallets, load dump trucks, and so on and so forth.
This is Liz and Kenny of Vaughnscapes.
Tools are prime keys. A tool in a machine is as valuable, if not more valuable, than an employee. The right tools, the right machines can take up for 2-3 employees if done properly. And trailers, honestly, one of the biggest things that we did as a business, and one of the biggest things that I changed too, was an enclosed trailer. Even if it's only one enclosed trailer, to be able to get places, it makes the world of difference, because you're not leaving things to the shop, you're not putting things in the yard and constantly picking them back up, you're not going through things getting broken. Everything is there. You're able to stock it, store it. I think that was one of our biggest things, and then just having the right machines, it's everything. We love our right behind. We have the SK 800 now, right? We have the SK 800 Ditch Witch. It's such a small, nimble machine. It gets around everywhere. I do like my full-size skid steer, but I'm actually thinking about demoing the SK 3000. I'm actually thinking about demoing the SK 3000 because it's full size. That's me. That is you, honey. It's a full-size machine, but the guys can stand. Yeah, honey. That's you. Yeah. The 1500 and the 3000 do the work of a full-size skid steer. The 3000 does the work of a full-size skid steer. The 1500 is really comparable. But the guys are standing on it, so the visibility, the 360-degree visibility is so much better. You can pools, tight yards. You're less likely to have damages. You're less likely to have issues. You're less likely to have someone being lazy and just sitting in the machine. milking the heater and everything. You know what I mean? So I think that those are some prime tools. If you haven't used them or you don't have them, the Dingos aren't bad, but they're not as good. They don't hold as much. They don't work as well. They're not as.
What about do you like the mini trencher?
The mini trencher, yeah, that's another machine. I don't know if you guys have tried the. It's called a mini trencher. It's basically a partner saw with a trencher blade, a chain blade on it, for gas lines, electric lines, even for seat walls. Sometimes if I'm in a pinch and I just want to get something knocked out and I'm shorthanded, I just spray my stuff out, run a couple of lines. I've got an 18-inch deep hole, pop it out, I'm ready to go. I think that's a very valuable
what about
tool.
the gripper, the grippo thing?
Grippo, yeah, see.
The paver.
I use them so often, I don't think twice about it. But
the paver suction thing is.
Well,
yeah,
so,
but with the handheld ones, that's cheaper. Not
so
like the
on
big
Amazon,
machine
there's
one.
one that's like $200. It's called a Grabo. It's just electric battery powered. That thing is a lifesaver. There's no more chipping pavers trying to use wrenches, and even the little metal one. It's never perfect. That Grabo, you slap that thing on there, you're pulling your stuff out. We even actually have used the Grabos on the side of our 6-foot treads, our natural stone treads, one on each side. Guys putting a piece of board through it, picking it up, laying it into place rather than trying to manhandle it, getting fingers underneath of it.
Also, what about the new flat bed trailer that goes like on the back?
Oh, tilt trailers, yeah, tilt trailers are key.
Yeah, Kenny just
very
got
few
that.
contractors out there don't have a tilt trailer, or at least see the value in one. But trailers are trailers. Everybody's got to have a trailer of some sort to get around. But I think the main tools are things that we've got into would be the Grabo, the trencher, and the mini skids are lifesavers and time savers. One mini skid can do the work of 2 guys carrying their materials around the yard really simply. I mean, you lay your boards down, you can drive over your pavers with the 800, 1500, maybe not as much, but you can get right over, set your stuff down. You're not turning or twisting, but you're in and out getting your things done. As long as you got proper base, I should say. Don't do it on like a really crappy base, you'll be screwed.
And I think the biggest talking point in this category is organization.
Oh my God.
Tool organization is so important, and I feel like
that stresses me out.
So we've gone through our enclosed trailers and built shelving, and then we recently did all these shelves in the shop and like labeling everything and just trying to be super mindful of keeping things where they need to be, because I feel like the guys, it can get out of hand sometimes.
I deal with it a lot more than her, and it does get out of hand.
Yeah.
That's why this winter I'm spending a lot of time and money on an organization method. We're going to get a full across the board allocation and inventory of everything. I don't care what it is, everything's going to be inventory. And we like to keep a good amount, 45, 100, whatever, of specific things like couplers for pools and random stuff across the board. So it's all going to be allocated, and I'm actually going to make somebody at the end of the day responsible for taking every tool out of the truck, putting it on a shelf, putting the batteries up, and then at the beginning of every day, that's going to be part of them taking the time to set up, because part of the process should always be set up and tear down. The guys are super, and it's partially my fault in the process that I should have set when I stepped out of doing all of the work all the time. They're really quick to just jump in and start working, which is eager and it's great, but without a process set into play and everybody knowing what their deal is for their processes for the day, it can just get chaotic and become a mess. So I think part of my process is somebody's loading the tools in the beginning of the day, the other guys are getting prepared with what everybody else is doing for the day. So that's something I'm going to focus on this winter really hard and really thoroughly, I think.
This is Craig of Scheller Outdoor Living.
I don't know that you can do the job by renting a lot of things, so you don't necessarily have to invest in it. But if you want to, what it came down to me was I was spending so much money renting that it made more sense to buy, and that was the mini skid for sure. And I've had those before, and I've had skid steers before. Like that was what was different about this time, is knowing what I've had and what works, and being able to find that machine that was kind of both was a big deal. I'd say a mini skid steer is something that people should look into. I know there's discussions about the skid steer's better, but like some of you guys say, do what you can afford. I would say that for sure. Rent as long as you can, but if it's starting to not make sense to rent, if you're going to buy a machine over a year by renting it, that's kind of hard. It's hard to process that. I'd say that. I say the dustless saw. I mean, I've cut concrete for so many years that I can't imagine what's laying in my lungs, that's going to be there forever. So that any kind of dust collection equipment, I think, is important. I think IQ's done a really good job with that. They're newer, they're getting better. I like that with companies. They're getting better. They're coming out with new stuff. Maybe the first one was a little rough, but this, the newer stuff is, they're really starting to make their mark in the industry. And a roller compactor, if you're going to do slabs, if you don't want to tear out, broken pavers, if you want to, consolidate your joint sand properly, that roller compactor was one of the first things I went and got. And a reversible, a decent size. I mean, there's a lot of things you need. I mean, it's just decide what you can afford and what makes the most sense for your company where you are now or where you're going towards, and try, rent, or if you can get into a contractor and say, hey, can I borrow that? Or can you show me how it works? If you have good contractors in your area, you should be able to start that network. We have a great network here in Kansas City. So that's been nice, but we borrow each other's tools. It's, I know that doesn't happen everywhere, but it's been a big help to help you decide what you need and what works best.
This is Phil of PJE Lawn Care and Landscaping.
Yeah, I preach this as well, and I love it. So there's a 2-part answer for you, real quick. I'll try to speed this through. My favorite product development over the course of the last 10 years is actually the introduction of the zip level. We love it. Me and my management team and upper level foremen still use the old school laser, but my field foremen and installers. The zip level has made it so much easier for them to understand grade and fall and level than using a level and adjusting the stick and doing all that kind of stuff. I preach by it. Every hardscape crew in our company has a zip level. We have a backup zip level in the shop that's calibrated and ready to go should we have any issues when we go out on site and the field guys are going, hey, this is what we found with our zip level, and me or one of my project managers is getting a different reading from our laser. We've always got one ready for them to go that's calibrated, but we love the zip level. One of our staples of PJE that sets us apart from our competitors, and I'm only aware of one other guy in our market that does this, is our lifetime workmanship warranty on all hardscape related services, all hardscape related builds. I get a lot of people like, Phil, you're crazy. You can't stand behind this stuff for life. I'm like, well, why not? Well, because you got freeze thaw, things are going to shift, things are going to move. And I go all the way back to the guy that taught me this business, my best friend's dad in high school, the guy that taught me how to build patios. And he used to preach, he goes, look, if the Romans can do it 2,000 years ago and we're still driving on those roads today, we can damn sure build a patio in somebody's backyard that'll outlast the house. And I firmly believe that. And I think if you don't cut corners and you do all the site prep work, you do all the proper build, you can build a patio that you never have to go back to because it settled or it moved or your border fell or a step sank or a wall leaned. If you do all the things properly and you build it and you engineer the project properly, they'll last for forever. And obviously we have some clauses in there, acts of God and things outside of our control that we will not, we're not going to stand behind. If a tree falls on your wall and rips part of your wall down, obviously I have nothing to do with that. But if 10 years after I build a wall, and a client calls me and says, hey, we've got a wall pushing apart, can you come out and check this out? If I go out there and my drainage is flawed, or I did something in that build that resulted in that, we're going to tear the wall down and rebuild it. There's a couple of reasons that I have this approach, and I related to this earlier in our discussion a little bit. But part of our contract on that lifetime workmanship relates back to there's a clause in there that says our lifetime workmanship warranty is valid as long as no other contractor works on top of, adjoining, or adjacent to our work. Meaning, in the fine print, meaning another contractor can't put mulch on my patio, can't mulch up to the edge of my patio. And they can't dig a hole to add a bush next to my patio because it may destabilize my base. So that lifetime workmanship warranty also guarantees me a lifetime of those people using us for all the other services that they're paying for, meaning mulching, adding plants, adding flowers, doing all that other kind of stuff. And acts as an annuity for us. Like there again, I said we don't make a ton of money on maintenance, but we make a little bit. It ensures that we're going to be able to keep the doors open for the long haul. And when and if that client has a problem, 10 years down the road, we've made money off of them for 10 years, doing their maintenance and doing those other things that they want. There's enough money there for me to come in, spend the labor and a little bit of material that might be required to fix that paver patio or fix that wall, make them happy, and then solidify that brand, that thing that we preach to our clients, that we're going to be there for you, that we're going to be there for the long haul. And then those clients, again, when they went and sold for us because we did a phenomenal job for them building the project up front, you revamp those people who have kind of died off because they were 10 years ago and they've kind of forgotten about PJE and their design build thing. All of a sudden they're excited again. PJE came back out here, fixed our wall with no questions asked, didn't ask for a dime. They fixed the wall. They put it back. It's better than it was before. They fixed the problem that resulted in it. And then those same people start touting your name again to all their friends and their neighbors and everybody else. And you see this influx of work coming in. And, my answer to guys who, say we've got a 2-year, paver patio warranty, workmanship warranty. I ask them, I look them straight in the eyes. Hey, if a client calls you at 2 years and 6 months and they've got a patio that you built 2 years and 6 months ago that's now holding water because it's settled, are you really going to look at them and tell them, nope, I'm not coming back to fix that patio without you paying for it? And most guys are like, no, I'm going to go back and I'm going to fix it. I go, okay, so why aren't you marketing as a full lifetime workmanship warranty? If you're going to go back and fix it, then why aren't you marketing that as a sales tool, and protecting yourself? Yes, there has to be CYAs. For people that don't know what a CYA is, that's cover your ass. That's the fine print in your warranty. And that's the things like, nobody else can touch my work or your warranty's void. And we're not responsible for acts of God. It has to be a well-written warranty. But if you're going to go back and fix it to save face, then you might as well market that. You might as well use that as a sales tool and help you close these jobs. Because if everybody else is 2 years and you're offering lifetime, meaning as long as I'm alive and I'm in business, I'm going to stand behind your project, then why wouldn't they choose you? Even if you're 10%, even if you're 15% higher than the competitor, if they're 2 years in your lifetime, why in the hell wouldn't you? So I tell guys all the time, that's something I live, breathe, die. I sleep it. I eat it. I beat it into my guys' heads. That's why it's so important to follow the process, build projects right, don't cut corners, so that we don't have to go back. But if we do, we know there was a flaw in our design at some point. Usually if a wall fails, it's something to do with the way we design the drainage plan. If a patio fails, it's usually designed to the way we design the drainage plan. In most cases, we don't have to go back. But people are going to protect their warranties. They're going to continue to pay us to do their maintenance stuff. And we're going to continue to get all of their work moving forward because they want to protect that investment, that large investment that they made. So I preach to guys, stop cutting corners, build a product that is going to last. Take the mindset that what we're doing is an ancient art form. There are craftsmen that have been doing this for thousands of years. Don't try to rewrite the script. Don't try to cut things out to drive your costs down. If a client's beating you up on driving your costs down, just walk away. Say, that's not how we do things, and I can't do that. My integrity won't let me. And just walk away. Let them do the project themselves and pay you to come back and fix it in 5 years. You know, stop cutting corners. Listen to ICPI. Do things by the book, the way they're supposed to be done, and even do them more. There's nothing wrong with over engineering and really helping yourself out for the long haul, and build that brand. You know, that's something I live in and die by. Over engineer, offer your clients lifetime workmanship, and protect yourself into the future. And that's something that's important to me.
This is Josh of Mass Hardscapes.
Oh, I can go on tools forever. Honestly, a lot of the Pave Tool tools are just game changers. Pave Tool just makes some crazy awesome products. They're literally, their goal in everything they make is to make you more efficient and make your life easier. So we've adapted a lot of their products that have just made us more efficient and made our lives easier. I'd say out of all their things, my favorite like smaller tool would be like their screeder kit. So you got guys who are dumping their sand or their chipstone. They're taking a 2x4 level on their hands and knees and screeding that way. So their screeder kit has 3 different blade sizes. It hooks up to extendable handles, so you're standing up and dragging your stone, which just makes your life so much easier. It's a little bit quicker. I'd say that's my favorite. Like that's a must-have smaller tool. As far as bigger stuff goes, I would say that like our excavator is the most used bigger piece of equipment that we have. I know there's so many guys who are getting like the mini track machine kind of things, like the ride-on ones, and so many people are like, hey, should I buy that first, or an excavator, or a skid steer? And I could never imagine buying one of those ever, to be honest, never mind as a first piece of equipment. But we use our excavator on every single job and for so many things, whether it be lifting and setting stairs or pavers. I mean, we're using it for excavating, for grading out lawns, like literally everything. So our excavator, which we actually have a tilt bucket on, it's no Encon or tilt rotator, but it gives us some play, which is huge. So I would say our excavator with a tilt bucket has been, I mean, such an incredible tool. And that was the first big thing that I bought when I started my business. I bought a brand new excavator because I knew I would use it on every single job. So I would say as far as the bigger stuff, an excavator is 100% my favorite tool.
This is Weston of WB Outdoor.
I use Dynascape, our design software. I got Dynascape, I don't know, maybe 3 years ago now. I probably bought it a little early because we weren't really doing like a whole lot of big time design work, but I knew that I wanted it. I think I saw like J Squared use it using Dynascape, and it was pretty awesome. And I took AutoCAD in high school, and I took a class in college, and from what I kind of gathered, Dynascape is basically AutoCAD, just more geared towards landscape construction and all that. So they have a huge plant listing, and they have a lot of little elements you can add in. So it was easy for me to kind of understand it. Coming from AutoCAD, it was a lot different. I mean, I probably didn't really learn the program for about a year. It took me a while to become kind of more fluent in it. But yeah, so Dynascape has been great. We can really produce a really professional drawing now. I used to do hand drawings, and I did that forever, and I really enjoy hand drawing, but I had to kind of force myself to learn a program so that we can make revisions easier on our design process. And it's been great. I think we're finally actually paying for the program. It's kind of a pricey program, but now we've gotten a little bit better at it. We're charging for our designs, and paying for the program and the subscription and then some, and, putting some money away with that. So yeah. And also with the Dynascape, we've started designing not only for ourselves, but for some other clients. And we have another landscape contractor that we started doing some design work for. And that's actually been a really cool experience because, he knows what he's doing. He's a really good landscape contractor. He builds walls and all kinds of stuff. And it kind of made me less lazy on the design process because it's not for me now, it's for someone else. I can't really take my sweet time on it. And he makes the revisions with me, and I change things, and then I have his eyes on it too. So, it's pushing me to be better than I was at the program. And so that's been cool. Equipment has been huge for us. We bought a Vermeer CTX 100 about a year ago now, and that has been a huge game changer for us. The little mini skid steers are so efficient. It's changed the way we work, and it's helped out so much. My guys absolutely love the machine, and I do too. We have a lot of difficult, access here with the small side yards, and that thing can pretty much get anywhere. And we do the plywood highways every time, anywhere we can. We try to get that machine on site, every job we're on nowadays. So just helps so much with moving bulk material and moving, it moves about a half a pallet, but you just, you can get a half a pallet into a backyard and moving bulk stuff. It's been a huge game changer. And then we just recently bought a little mini excavator too, a little Sani SY16. And that thing has been awesome too. We on that large retaining wall project, we were going to be, basically I looked at it and we were going to end up spending like 10 grand on a excavator rental. And I just had some money saved and decided it would be a better idea just to put a down payment on a new Mini X and, something that's ours, because yeah, it just made more sense. and I wanted it to, of course. So it was good timing. I wasn't planning on buying that excavator for like another year because I knew I wanted a Mini X. But that job kind of just pushed us to buy it, and I don't regret it at all. Now we're finding all kinds of cool uses for it that we never had before, because usually it was a rental and we would try to get that thing off the job as quick as possible. I rented, like before I bought any of this machinery, I rented for a couple years probably. And before I bought the Vermeer, I tried to rent every type of little mini skid steer I could, every brand I could, which is basically just Vermeer and Ditch Witch. But I tried out like all of their different models, and I kind of tried to make it like every single job that I could use one on, I would rent, just so that I could get, I kind of wanted to make it feel like if I didn't have it, it would be tough to not have it, like we're going to be maybe shoveling wheelbarrows or something if we don't have this, and I just tried to rent every time and start building that into my cost and just get used to having that thing around. And once everyone kind of, knew that you kind of had to have that machine at that point, was when I was saving up and trying to make that dream a reality. And finally we got that, and it was like, yes, this thing is awesome. Like so much better than where we were before. So yeah, I'm a big, I think renting is very, very smart, because you want to get familiar with the tools that you want and are going to be using. Of course you can do a demo too, but I didn't do the demos until I was like close to buying it. Yeah, just like if you're looking to buy, equipment, I would rent it and feel it out and let your guys test it out and see what they like, and go over pros and cons, and then make your decision to buy.
Thank you for listening to today's podcast episode. Visit us at howtohardscape.com for more information on these subjects and more, or reach out to us on our social channels to talk about future episodes that you would love to hear on the episode's future topics, anything that you want to hear. We are at How to Hardscape, Facebook, Instagram, wherever you can find us, or email us, contact@howtohardscape.com. And again, you can go to speakpipe.com/howtohardscape, and there you can record a voicemail message that will air on this show in a coming episode. And thank you to Alliance Gator for sponsoring today's episode. Go check them out on their socials at Alliance Gator, or check out their products, alliancegator.com. And we look forward to meeting with you next week on the How to Hardscape podcast.